The Great Council chambers on Nexus Prime had never been so quiet. 47 different alien species sat in their seats, but no one spoke. The silence felt heavy, like a thick blanket covering the huge room. Council Prime Vextar looked around. The chamber with his crystal eyes. His body was made of living crystal that glowed blue when he was worried. Right now, he was glowing very bright blue. 3 months had passed since the humans disappeared, and still no one knew why. "We must talk about this," Vextar said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The humans are gone. All of them. From every planet, every station, every ship." War Commander. Golthek slammed his massive fist on his desk. He was from the Horde Coalition, a group of warrior species that loved to fight. His skin was thick and gray like stone. "Good!" he roared. "Those weak humans were always causing problems. Now we can have peace." Many aliens nodded and made sounds of agreement. The humans had always been different. They asked too many questions. They wanted to change too many things. They never seemed to understand how the galaxy worked. "But where did they go?" asked a small voice from the back. It was Dr. Kilnara, a tiny alien with big eyes. She was one of the few who had worked closely with humans. "They just vanished, all at once. That is not normal." Vextar touched a control panel, and the air above the chamber filled with images. Pictures of empty human cities appeared, floating in the air like ghosts. The cities looked perfect, clean streets, working lights, even food still on tables, but no people. "Look at these images," Vextar said. "New Sol Colony, empty. Terra Nova Station, empty. The human mining world of Shin World, empty. Every single human settlement we have found is the same. They left everything behind." The aliens looked at the images with growing confusion. The human cities did not look destroyed. They did not look like people had run away in fear. They looked like everyone had simply walked away at the same time. "Maybe they went back to their home world," suggested Ambassador Mortek from the trade union. "Earth is far away. Maybe they got homesick." "We checked Earth first," Vextar replied. "Empty too. Even their oldest cities are abandoned. The entire Sol system has no humans in it." A chill ran through the chamber. If Earth was empty, then where had 40 billion humans gone? "I think we should celebrate," Goltek said, standing up to his full height of 3 meters. "The humans were always trouble. Remember how they questioned our decisions? Remember how they wanted to change our laws? Now they are gone, and we can go back to the old ways." Many aliens cheered. The humans had been part of the Galactic Council for only 50 years. Before they came, things had been simple. The strong species ruled, the weak ones followed orders, and everyone knew their place. But Dr. Kilnara stood up, her small voice somehow carrying across the huge chamber. "You are all fools," she said. The chamber fell silent. It was very rude to call council members fools. "The humans did more than you think," she continued. "They built things. They fixed things. They made our lives better in ways you never noticed." "Like what?" Golthek laughed. "What could those weak little creatures do that we cannot do better, Doctor?" Kilnara touched her own control panel. New images appeared in the air. "The defense grid around Kepler Station. Humans built it. The water purification system on Drivar Prime. Human design. The early warning sensors that watch for pirates in the Outer Rim. Human technology." The laughter in the chamber began to fade. The medical center on Refuge World that saved thousands of lives during the plague outbreak. Human doctors. The trade route through the Danger Nebula that cut shipping time by half. Mapped by human explorers. Vextar's crystal body was glowing brighter blue. "Are you saying the humans did all this?" "I am saying the humans did more than any of you ever knew," Dr. Kilnara replied. "They were quiet about it. They did not brag. They just worked." Commander Thekva from the security forces stepped forward. He was tall and thin, with skin like metal. "Our security reports show something strange. When the humans left, they took their technology with them. All of it." "What do you mean?" Vexitar asked. "The defense systems they built. Gone. The computer programs they wrote. Deleted. The machines they designed. Taken apart and removed. They left buildings and furniture, but they took every piece of their advanced technology. The chamber was very quiet now. The aliens were starting to understand that something was wrong. They planned this, Thekva continued. This was not a sudden decision. The humans spent months, maybe years, preparing to leave. They were very careful, very thorough. But why? Asked Ambassador Mortek. Why would they plan to leave us? Before anyone could answer, an alarm began to sound. Red lights flashed throughout the chamber. A young officer ran up to Commander Thekva and whispered in his ear. Thekva's metal skin turned darker. "What is it?" Vexatar demanded. Thekva looked around the chamber with fear in his eyes. The outer defense grid around Kepler Station has gone offline. All of it. At the same time. How is that possible? Goltek asked. The humans built those defenses, Dr. Kilnara said quietly. Without them, we cannot operate the systems. Another officer ran into the chamber. Then another. Each brought worse news. Defense systems failing across the galaxy, warning sensors going dark, communication networks breaking down. All of them were human-built systems that the aliens had never bothered to learn how to fix. "This is bad," Vexatar said, his crystal body now glowing so bright it hurt to look at. "Very bad." "It gets worse," Commander Thekva said. "Long-range sensors have detected something moving in dark space. Something big. Multiple contacts moving toward our outer worlds." The chamber erupted in confused voices. Dark space was the empty area between galaxies. Nothing lived there. Nothing could live there. "What kind of contacts?" Vextar asked. "Unknown," Thekva replied. "But they are big. Very big. And they are moving fast toward our territory." Dr. Kilnara sat down heavily in her chair. "The humans knew," she whispered, but her voice carried in the sudden silence. "They knew something was coming." "That is impossible," Goltek said, but his voice was not as confident as before. "Is it?" Dr. Kilnara asked. "Think about it. The humans always wanted better sensors, better defenses. They always talked about threats from outside the galaxy. We laughed at them. We called them paranoid. The aliens looked at each other with growing fear. They had ignored the humans for 50 years. They had voted against human proposals. They had treated the humans like annoying children who did not understand the real world. Now the humans were gone, their defenses were failing, and something was coming from the dark spaces between the stars. "We need to contact them," Vextar said. "We need to find the humans and bring them back." "How?" asked Commander Thekva. "We have no idea where they went. They could be anywhere in the galaxy, or outside it." The alarm sounds grew louder. More officers ran into the chamber with reports of failing systems and approaching unknown contacts. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Galactic Council felt truly afraid. They had ruled the galaxy for so long that they had forgotten what it felt like to be helpless. "The humans left us a message," Dr. Kilnara said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. "I found it in the archives this morning, a recording from Ambassador Taimin, made the day before they disappeared." "Play it," Vextar ordered. Dr. Kilnara touched her controls. The image of a human appeared in the air above the chamber. He was middle-aged, with kind eyes and graying hair. Many of the aliens remembered him. He had been humanity's voice in the council for 10 years. "If you are watching this," Taimin said, "then we are gone, and you are in trouble. We tried to warn you. We tried to prepare you, but you would not listen." The chamber was completely silent. "The Void Stalkers are coming," Taimin continued. "They have been moving toward our galaxy for centuries. We discovered them 20 years ago. We tried to tell you, but you said we were imagining threats that did not exist." Many aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They remembered those meetings. "We leave this message not out of anger, but out of hope. When you finally understand the danger you face, you will know where to find us. But know this, we will not return just because you ask. We will return only when you are ready to listen." The image faded. The chamber remained silent for a long moment. Then the alarms got much louder, and the real emergency began. 2 weeks after the council meeting, the galaxy was in chaos. Every day brought new reports of failing systems and approaching threats. But for many aliens, the real shock was learning the truth about how much the humans had really done. General Krunek stood in his command center on the fortress world of Iron Gate, staring at screens full of red warning lights. He was a proud member of the warrior caste, with thick armor-like skin and muscles built for battle. For 30 years, he had commanded the defense of the core worlds. He had always thought himself the greatest military mind in the galaxy. Now, he felt like a fool. "Sir," called his aide, Lieutenant Dextar, "the planetary shield generators are failing again. We cannot keep them running without the human maintenance codes." Crewneck slammed his fist against the wall. 3 months ago, he had been happy when the humans left. He thought they were weak and soft, always talking instead of fighting. He never knew that the massive shield protecting his world had been designed and built by a human engineer named Bomsu. Engineer Bomsu had been a small, quiet man who rarely spoke at military meetings. When he did speak, it was always about technical details that bored the warrior generals. None of them paid attention when Bomsu warned that the shields needed regular updates and careful maintenance. "Can we fix it ourselves?" Crewneck asked. "We have tried, sir. But the human technology is too complex. Every time we think we understand one part, 10 other parts stop working." Crewneck remembered a meeting from 5 years ago. Bomsu had stood before a room full of military leaders, trying to explain how the defense systems worked. The engineer had drawn diagrams and showed charts, speaking in his careful, precise way. "The shield generators work together," Bomsu had said, "like a symphony. Each part must play its note at exactly the right time. If one part fails, the whole system becomes unstable." General Crewneck had rolled his eyes. "Just make them stronger," he had said. "We do not need symphony. We need power." Bomsu had looked sad. "Strength without harmony is just noise, General, and noise cannot protect anyone." Now, standing in his failing command center, Crewneck finally understood what the human had meant. The shields were not just machines. They were works of art, created by someone who understood both science and beauty, and that someone was gone. Another memory came to him. 2 years ago, diplomat Hye Jin had come to Iron Gate with a proposal. She was a young human woman with bright eyes and endless patience. She had wanted to create a joint training program where humans and aliens would work together to maintain the defense systems. "We will not be here forever," Hyejin had said. "Someday, you will need to understand these systems yourselves." "Humans will always be here," Crewneck had replied. "You are part of the galaxy now. Why would you leave?" Hyejin had smiled, but there was sadness in her eyes. "Nothing lasts forever, General. It is better to be prepared." The joint training program had been voted down by the military council. Too expensive, they said. Too complicated. Why waste time learning human technology when they could focus on building bigger weapons? Now, Crewneck wished he had listened to the young diplomat. But it was too late. "Sir," Lieutenant Dextar called out, his voice full of panic. "Long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures approaching the outer system. Whatever is coming, it is bigger than anything we have ever seen." Crewneck looked at the tactical display. Red dots were moving slowly but steadily toward Iron Gate. Each dot represented something the size of a small moon. There were dozens of them. "How long until they reach us?" he asked. "At current speed, 18 hours. 18 hours to prepare for a battle against an enemy they did not understand, with defenses they could not properly operate." On the other side of the galaxy, scientist Yun Ae sat in a small research station, reading through files that most aliens had ignored for years. She was not human. She was a member of the scholar caste, a species that valued knowledge above all else. But she had worked closely with human scientists, and she had learned to respect their careful, methodical approach to problems. The files she was reading contained warnings. Lots of warnings. For 20 years, human scientists had been sending reports to the Galactic Council about strange signals coming from dark space, energy patterns that did not match anything known to exist in their galaxy. Dr. Chen Wei had been the first to detect the signals. He was a human xenobiologist who studied life in extreme environments. His reports were full of technical details that most council members found boring. "The energy signatures suggest artificial origin," one report said. "The patterns are too regular to be natural phenomena. Something is actively generating these signals." The report was filed away and forgotten. 3 years later, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a human astrophysicist, had detected the signals getting stronger. Her report was more urgent. "The source is moving," she wrote. "Whatever is generating these signals is approaching our galaxy. At current rate of approach, contact will occur within 30 to 50 years. The Science Council had reviewed her report and declared it inconclusive. They said she was probably detecting natural cosmic events that humans, with their limited understanding, had misinterpreted. 5 years later, a team of human researchers led by Dr. Raj Patel had triangulated the exact location of the signals. Their report included detailed maps and projected arrival times. "We estimate first contact within 15 years, the report concluded. "Recommend immediate preparation of advanced defense systems and establishment of early warning networks." The report was rejected. The Council voted that spending resources on imaginary threats was wasteful. UNAE found report after report, each one more urgent than the last. The humans had not only detected the approaching threat, they had studied it, analyzed it, and tried desperately to prepare for it, and the galaxy had ignored them. The final report in the files was dated just 6 months ago. It was written by Dr. Kora, the human cultural specialist, who had mysteriously disappeared along with all the others. "We can no longer wait for Council approval," Kora had written. "The entities we have designated Void Stalkers will reach our galaxy within 2 years. Based on analysis of their energy signatures and movement patterns, we believe they are hostile and possess technology far beyond our current capabilities. Therefore, humanity is implementing Emergency Protocol 7. All human citizens are to be evacuated to secure locations outside the galaxy. Essential infrastructure will be maintained until the last possible moment, then dismantled to prevent hostile acquisition. We leave this record in hope that other species will eventually understand the danger they face. When they do, they will know how to find us." Yune sat back in her chair, feeling sick. The humans had not abandoned the galaxy out of anger or fear. They had evacuated because they knew what was coming, and they knew the other species were not prepared. Her computer chimed with an incoming message. It was from the Defense Command on Iron Gate. "All research stations prepare for immediate evacuation," the message said. "Unknown hostile forces approaching core worlds. Estimated time to contact, 16 hours. Yune looked out the window of her station at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, in the dark spaces between galaxies, the humans were waiting. They had tried to save everyone, but no one had listened. Now the bill was coming due. Back on Iron Gate, General Krunek received a communication from Admiral Vorthak, commander of the fleet defending the core worlds. "We have visual contact with the hostiles," Vorthak reported. "General, these things are not ships. They are something else." "What do you mean?" Krunek asked. "They appear to be living creatures. Massive biomechanical entities that move through space like fish through water. They do not follow normal physics. Our weapons are barely scratching them." Krunek felt his blood turn cold. "How many are there?" "Initial count shows 47 primary entities, each approximately 5 kilometers in length. But General, there are smaller ones too. Thousands of them. They move in perfect coordination, like a swarm." "What are your orders, Admiral?" There was a long pause. "Retreat, General. Fall back to the inner systems and try to buy time. We need to find the humans. They are the only ones who might know how to fight these things." As the first reports of battle began to come in, General Krunek finally understood what humanity had been trying to tell them all along. The galaxy was not safe. It never had been. There were things in the dark between the stars that were older, stranger, and far more dangerous than any of them had imagined. The humans had known. They had tried to warn everyone. They had even tried to prepare defenses. But pride and prejudice had made the galaxy deaf to their warnings. Now the Void Stalkers had arrived, and the galaxy's guardians were gone. The human city of New Busan stood empty under twin suns, its streets clean and quiet like a museum after closing time. Investigator Mirval walked slowly down the main avenue, his footsteps echoing between the silent buildings. He was a detective from the Truth Seekers Guild, sent to find clues about where the humans had gone. Mirval had sharp eyes and a patient mind. His species was good at finding hidden things, but this mystery was unlike anything he had ever seen. The city looked perfect. Street lights still worked. Water still flowed from the fountains. Even the automated systems that cleaned the streets were still running. But every house, every shop, every office was empty. "It is like they just vanished into air," he said to his recording device. He stopped in front of a small restaurant called Grandma Yuna's Kitchen. The sign was written in both human letters and Galactic Standard. Through the window, he could see tables set for dinner, but no one would ever come to eat. Mirval pushed open the door and stepped inside. The restaurant smelled like spices and something else, something warm and welcoming that he could not name. On the counter, he found a small sign that said, "Gone fishing. Back soon. Captain Yuna." But Mirval knew Captain Yuna would never be back. He had read her file. Captain Yuna had been a space freighter pilot who retired to open this restaurant. She was known for her kind heart and her amazing cooking. Alien visitors often said she made them feel like family. Mirval found a tablet on the counter. It was still working, showing the restaurant's last day of business. The records showed 43 customers that day, representing 12 different species. All had paid their bills. All had left happy. None of them knew it would be the last time they would ever taste Grandma Yuna's cooking. "Why did you leave us?" Mirval whispered to the empty restaurant. He continued his investigation, moving from building to building. In each place, he found the same thing: a life interrupted, but not destroyed. It was as if every human in the city had received the same message at the same time. "Time to go. Leave everything clean." At the city's central library, he met Dalsu, an alien archivist who had been studying human records for weeks. Dalsu was thin and tall, with large eyes that could read multiple languages at once. "Have you found anything useful?" Mirval asked. Dalsu looked tired. "Too much," he said. "These humans kept records of everything, every conversation, every meeting, every decision. It is like they knew someone would need to understand their choices someday." He led Mirval to a computer terminal. "Look at this. Meeting records from the Colonial Planning Committee dated 18 months ago." The screen showed notes from a human meeting. The topic was long-term colony sustainability in crisis scenarios. "Listen to this," Dalsu said, reading from the screen. "Colony Administrator Park Min-jae proposed that all human settlements maintain portable infrastructure, buildings that could be quickly emptied, systems that could be shut down safely, and resources that could be moved on short notice." "That sounds like they were planning to leave," Mirval said. "It gets more interesting. Look at the vote count." The proposal passed unanimously. Every human colony agreed to this plan. Mirval felt a chill. "How long ago did they start planning?" "This?" Dalsu pulled up another file. "Based on these records, they have been preparing for mass evacuation for at least 20 years, but they got more serious about it in the last 5 years. What changed 5 years ago? The Void Stalker signals got stronger. Look at this report from Dr. Sung Ho, their chief military strategist. A new document appeared on the screen. It was marked, "Classified, Human Eyes Only." "How did you access classified files?" Mirval asked. "They declassified everything before they left, like they wanted us to find it eventually." Mirval read the report. Dr. Sung Ho had analyzed the signals from dark space and reached a disturbing conclusion. The approaching entities were not just hostile. They were intelligent, and they were learning. "The Void Stalkers are studying our transmissions," the report said. "They understand our technology, our weaknesses, our locations. They are not randomly attacking. They are hunting," the report continued, with recommendations that made Mirval's blood run cold. Dr. Sung Ho had proposed that humanity should evacuate the galaxy entirely, taking their most advanced technology with them. They should let the Void Stalkers attack the remaining species first, while humans prepared a defense from outside the galaxy. "It was a strategic retreat," Mirval said quietly. "More than that," Dalsu replied. "Look at the final recommendation." Mirval read the last paragraph of the report. "After the initial Void Stalker assault, surviving galactic species will be weakened but not destroyed. This will provide an opportunity for humanity to return as liberators rather than refugees. The political advantages of this approach are significant." "They plan to let us get hurt," Mirval said, feeling angry. "No," Dalsu said, pulling up another file. "Read this message from Admiral Sung Ho to the Human Colonial Council." A new document appeared. It was dated just 3 weeks. before the human evacuation. I cannot support the strategic withdrawal plan, Admiral Sung-ho had written. Yes, it would give humanity political advantages, but it would also cost millions of innocent lives. The Void Stalkers will not just defeat the galactic species, they will consume them. What happened then? Mirval asked. Dalsu showed him the Colonial Council's response. Emergency vote. The withdrawal plan was rejected. Instead, they chose the evacuation plan proposed by President Minho. The evacuation plan was different. Instead of abandoning the galaxy, humans would relocate to the galaxy's edge and prepare a defense line. They would monitor the Void Stalker, advance and return to help when the time was right. But they needed the galaxy to understand the threat first, Mirval said. Exactly. They knew that as long as other species thought humans were being paranoid, no one would prepare properly. So they left. They let us discover the truth the hard way. Mirval sat down heavily. The humans had not abandoned them out of selfishness. They had made the hardest choice possible. They had let their friends suffer so that everyone could survive. His communication device beeped. It was a message from the Defense Command. Iron Gate has fallen, the message said. Admiral Vorthak's fleet destroyed. Void Stalkers advancing toward core worlds. Estimated time to reach Nexus Prime, 72 hours. Dalsu looked at the message with horror. 3 days until they reach the capital. Have we tried to contact the humans? Mirval asked. Every day. But they are not responding to our signals. Mirval stood up and walked to the library's main computer. Show me the last message from Ambassador Taemin again. The familiar face of the human diplomat appeared on the screen. Mirval had watched this message dozens of times, but now he listened more carefully. When you finally understand the danger you face, you will know where to find us, Taemin said. But know this. We will not return just because you ask. We will return only when you are ready to listen. Ready to listen, Mirval repeated. What does that mean? Dalsu pulled up more files. I think I know. Look at this proposal from 3 years ago. The document was titled Galactic Defense Integration Plan and was written by a human team led by Dr. Wu Jin, a xenobiologist who specialized in cooperation between species. The humans wanted to create a new type of council, Dalsu explained. Not based on political power or military strength, but on actual contribution to galactic welfare. Species would earn their voice by helping others, not by conquering them. And the council rejected it? Voted down by a margin of 43-4. Only the humans and 3 minor species supported it. Mirval understood now. The humans had not just been trying to save the galaxy from the Void Stalkers. They had been trying to save it from itself. They had seen that the old way of doing things, where the strong ruled and the weak followed, would never be able to handle a threat like this. We need to send a new message, he said. What kind of message? Mirval thought carefully. Not a request for help. An acceptance of their terms. We need to tell them that we are ready to change, ready to build the kind of galaxy they wanted all along. Dalsu looked doubtful. Do you think the council will agree to that? Before Mirval could answer, another message arrived. This one was from Council Prime Vextar himself. All investigation. Teams return to Nexus Prime immediately, the message said. We are preparing to formally surrender galactic authority to any human representative who will accept it. Mirval and Dalsu looked at each other in surprise. The council was finally ready to listen. The question was, would the humans believe them? Outside the library windows, the twin suns of New Busan were setting. In the distance, Mirval could see the spaceport, where humans had once launched ships to explore the stars. Now those same landing pads sat empty, waiting for a return that might never come. But for the first time since the crisis began, Mirval felt hope. The galaxy was about to learn what it meant to truly work together if they lived long enough to try. The message reached the human fleet as they watched the galaxy burn from the edge of dark space. Commander Nari stood on the bridge of the battleship New Hope, her hands clasped behind her back as she read the formal surrender document from the Galactic Council. They want to give us complete authority over all military and political decisions, she said to her staff. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed the weight of command. No conditions, no demands. They are asking us to save them, Captain Jinwoo, her chief tactical officer, shook his head. Too little, too late. We should have received this message 20 years ago. Around them, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. These were humans who had never known the galaxy as home. They had been born and raised in the evacuation fleet, growing up in the space between stars. To them, the aliens were strangers who had rejected their parents and grandparents. "How many worlds have we lost?" Nari asked. 17 systems completely consumed, replied Lieutenant Hae-jin from the sensor station. The Void Stalkers are not just destroying planets. They are harvesting them, taking all organic matter and converting it into more of themselves. Nari watched the tactical display showing the advance of the alien swarm. Each red dot represented millions of deaths. Civilizations that had existed for thousands of years were being erased in days. "Commander," called communications officer Park Soo-jin. "We are receiving another transmission from the Fleet Command ship." The main screen flickered, and the face of Fleet Admiral Hyun-soo appeared. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been one of the young officers who helped plan the great evacuation 30 years ago. "All ship commanders," Admiral Hyun-soo said, "report to the command ship for emergency council meeting. We need to make a decision." An hour later, Nari sat in the conference room of the massive command ship Freedom's Price. Around the table sat 20 other ship commanders representing the entire human fleet. Some had been born in the galaxy and remembered the old days. Others, like Nari, had grown up in space and had no emotional connection to the aliens who were now begging for help. "The situation is clear," Admiral Hyun-soo began. "The Galactic Council has formally surrendered all authority to humanity. They are offering us complete control of their military, their governments, and their resources." Commander Wanbin, captain of the destroyer Swift Justice, slammed his fist on the table. "And why should we accept? They had 50 years to listen to us. They chose to ignore every warning, reject every offer of help, and treat us like annoying children." "Because they are dying," said Captain Yune quietly. She was the oldest commander present, one of the few who remembered Earth before the evacuation. "Right now, billions of innocent people are being consumed by the Void Stalkers, people who never had a say in how their governments treated us." "That is not our responsibility," Wanbin replied. "We warned them. We offered to help them prepare. They said no. Now they face the consequences." Admiral Hyun-soo raised his hand for silence. "Before we decide anything, you need to know what our scouts have discovered." He touched a control, and the room's displays showed images from the battle zones. The humans watched in horror as the Void Stalkers moved across planets like a plague. The creatures were enormous, biomechanical things that seemed to be part machine and part living tissue. They moved in perfect coordination, like cells in a vast organism. "They are not just random destroyers," Admiral Hyun-soo explained. "They are builders. Every world they consume becomes a factory for creating more of themselves. If they finish eating this galaxy, they will be 10 times stronger when they move on to the next one." "So?" asked Commander Jinwoo. "There are billions of galaxies. Even if they consume a few, the universe will survive." "Will it?" Admiral Hyun-soo changed the display to show a star map. "Our deep space observers have detected similar signals from other galaxies. The Void Stalkers are not unique to our region of space. They are everywhere, moving from galaxy to galaxy, consuming everything in their path." The room fell silent as the commanders understood what this meant. "They are not invaders," Captain Yune whispered. "They are part of some kind of galactic harvesting system." "Exactly," Admiral Hyun-soo confirmed. "And if we let them finish here, they will be strong enough to threaten the entire local galactic cluster, including any galaxy we might try to escape to." Commander Nari studied the star maps carefully. "What are our chances if we fight them here?" "Alone. Almost zero. But with the combined resources of 47 species, and the defensive positions we have prepared, maybe 30%. "Those are not good odds," Wanbin pointed out. "They are better than the odds if we wait and fight them later, when they are 10 times stronger." The debate continued for hours. Some commanders argued for intervention, others for continued isolation. Some wanted to help only the species that had shown friendship to humans. Others wanted to help everyone. Finally, Admiral Hyun-soo called for quiet. "There is one more thing you need to know. We have been in secret communication with some human survivors who stayed behind." The commanders looked shocked. "That is impossible," Nari said. The evacuation was complete. Every human left the galaxy. Not every human, Admiral Yun-Su replied. Dr. Wu Jin and a small team of volunteers stayed behind. They have been hiding on a research station in dark space, monitoring the situation. A new face appeared on the screen. Dr. Wu Jin looked older and thinner than Nari remembered, but his eyes were still sharp and intelligent. "Hello, everyone," he said. "I know you are surprised to see me. I stayed behind because someone needed to study the Void Stalkers up close. What I learned changes everything." Dr. Wu Jin's image was replaced by detailed scientific diagrams. The Void Stalkers are not naturally occurring. They were created by an ancient civilization as a galactic management system. When a galaxy becomes too crowded or too dangerous, the Stalkers are released to clean up the problem. "Who created them?" Captain Yune asked. "We do not know. The civilization that built them disappeared millions of years ago, but they left behind a control system. The Stalkers can be stopped, but only by a species that meets certain criteria." "What criteria?" Admiral Hyun-Soo asked. "Intelligence, technological advancement, and most importantly, the ability to cooperate with other species on a galactic scale. The system was designed to preserve species that could work together while eliminating those that could not." Nari felt a chill of understanding. "That is why the humans were chosen." "Not just humans," Dr. Wu Jin corrected. "Any species that can unite the galaxy and create true cooperation. The test is not about military strength. It is about leadership and wisdom. But the other species failed the test," Wanbin pointed out. "They proved they cannot cooperate." "Not yet," Dr. Wu Jin replied. "But crisis changes people. I have been monitoring their communications since the attacks began. For the first time in galactic history, they are working together. The warrior species are protecting refugee worlds. The trade species are sharing resources freely. The scholar species are sharing all their knowledge. Fear makes strange allies," Nari said. "Sometimes fear teaches lessons that peace cannot," Dr. Wu Jin agreed. "The question is, will we give them a chance to prove they have learned?" Admiral Hyun-Soo looked around the table at his commanders. "We need to vote. All in favor of accepting the Council's surrender and returning to help?" One by one, hands went up around the table. Even Commander Wanbin, after a long hesitation, raised his hand. "Unanimous," Admiral Hyun-Soo said. "We go back." "But we go back as leaders, not as servants," Nari added. "If we are going to save the galaxy, we do it our way." As the commanders prepared to return to their ships, Nari received a private message from Dr. Wu Jin. "Commander," he said, "there is one more thing the others do not know. The Void Stalker control system requires a sacrifice. Someone must volunteer to interface directly with their network to shut them down. The process is almost certainly fatal." Nari felt her heart sink. How many volunteers would we need? Just one. But it must be someone the system recognizes as a legitimate galactic leader. Someone who speaks for all species, not just humanity. "I see," Nari replied. "And you think that someone should be human?" "I think," Dr. Wu Jin said sadly, "that someone will have to choose between personal survival and galactic survival, just like we chose 30 years ago when we left our homes to protect our people." As Nari walked back to her ship, she thought about the choice ahead. The humans could return as saviors and rulers of a grateful galaxy, but the price might be higher than anyone imagined. The evacuation fleet began to turn around, heading back toward the dying galaxy they had once called home. Behind them, dark space stretched endlessly. Ahead of them, the greatest battle in galactic history was waiting, and somewhere in that battle, a final choice would have to be made. The human fleet arrived at Nexus Prime just as the Void Stalkers reached the outer defense ring. Fleet Admiral Hyun-Soo stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching thousands of alien ships trying desperately to slow down the advancing swarm. "Communications. Open a channel to all Allied forces," he ordered. The face of Council Prime Vextar appeared on the main screen. The crystal being was no longer glowing blue with worry. Now he was blazing white with terror and hope mixed together. "Admiral Hyun-Soo," Vextar said, his voice shaking. "You came back." "We gave our word," Hyun-Soo replied simply. "All Allied Ships, this is Admiral Hyun-soo of the Human Colonial Fleet. We are taking command of all military operations. Prepare to receive new orders. Across the battle zone, alien commanders, who had once dismissed humans as weak and inexperienced now, listened with desperate attention. The galaxy had burned for 2 weeks while they waited for humanity to return. "Admiral," called Commander Nari from her ship's position near the front lines. "Void Stalker formation is adapting to our presence. They have stopped their advance." "They are studying us," Dr. Wu Jin added from his research station. "The control system is evaluating whether we qualify for the leadership protocol." President Minho's voice came through from the diplomatic ship New Seoul. "What do they need?" "To see? Unity," Dr. Wu Jin replied. "Not just human unity, galactic unity. Every species working together under a single command structure." Admiral Hyun-soo looked at the tactical display showing the positions of 47 different fleets. Each one had different weapons, different tactics, different languages. For 1,000 years, they had been rivals and competitors. Now, they had to become a single fighting force. "All ships, this is your new fleet structure," he announced. "Human ships will form the command backbone, but every species will contribute their strongest abilities. Warrior-caste ships will lead the assault. Scholar-caste ships will handle analysis and communication. Trade union ships will manage supplies and logistics." "What about us?" asked General Krunek from his rebuilt command center. "The fortress worlds?" "You will anchor our defense line," Admiral Hyun-soo replied, "but under human strategic coordination. Are you willing to follow human battle plans?" There was a pause. General Krunek had spent his entire career believing that warriors led and others followed. Now he was being asked to take orders from people he had once considered weak. "Yes," he said finally, "we will follow your lead." Across the communication channels, other alien commanders gave similar responses. Species that had never worked together were agreeing to fight as one force under human command. The Void Stalkers seemed to sense this change. Their formation shifted, becoming more aggressive. Massive biomechanical creatures began moving toward the Allied fleet. "Here they come," Commander Nari reported. "All ships, weapons free. Execute battle plan Alpha." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships, with their precise coordination and advanced technology, formed the center of the formation. Around them, alien vessels contributed their own strengths: the crushing firepower of warrior ships, the shield technology of defense specialists, the speed and agility of scout fleets. For the first time, the Void Stalkers were not winning easily. The combined fleet held its ground, trading losses but preventing the enemy from advancing. "It is working," President Minho said from his observation post. "The different species are actually working together." "But it is not enough," Dr. Wu Jin warned us. "The Stalkers are adapting faster than we can adjust our tactics. We need to activate the shutdown protocol." Admiral Hyun-soo felt his heart grow heavy. He knew what that meant. Someone would have to sacrifice themselves to stop the enemy. And as the fleet commander, that duty fell to him. "Prepare the interface probe," he ordered. "I will need to get close enough to the primary Stalker consciousness to establish a direct connection." "Wait," called Ambassador Sujin from the diplomatic ship. "There might be another way. The shutdown protocol does not require military rank. It requires recognized leadership authority. And the Council has officially transferred all governmental power to humanity." "What are you suggesting?" Admiral Hyun-soo asked. "Let me do it," she said. "As the official diplomatic representative of the new Galactic Federation, I have the authority the system requires. And unlike you, I am not needed to command the fleet." "Ambassador, that is a suicide mission." "I know," Sujin replied calmly. "But that is what diplomats are for, to make the hard choices so others do not have to." Before Admiral Hyun-soo could object, another voice joined the conversation. It was Dr. Wu Jin, calling from his hidden research station. "Actually," he said, "I think the sacrifice the system requires is not a life. It is something else, something more precious to humans." "What do you mean?" President Minho asked. "The control system was built by a species that valued unity above all else. I think what it wants is not for someone to die, but for someone to give up their independence forever, to become permanently connected to the galactic consciousness." You mean become part of the control system? Admiral Hyun-soo asked. Exactly. Someone would have to volunteer to become the permanent coordinator between all galactic species. They would live, but they would never again be fully human. They would belong to everyone. Ambassador Soo-jin did not hesitate. I volunteer. Soo-jin? No, President Minho said. There has to be another way. There is no other way, she replied. And honestly, this is what I have always wanted. To help species understand each other, to build bridges between different cultures. If I can do that for the entire galaxy, forever, then I accept the cost. The probe ship launched from the diplomatic vessel, carrying Ambassador Soo-jin toward the heart of the Void Stalker formation. As she flew through the battle zone, ships from every species provided cover fire, protecting her approach. Interface probe reaching target zone, she reported. I can see the control node. It is beautiful, like a crystal palace floating in. Space! Soo-jin, Admiral Hyun-soo said. If you change your mind, we can abort. I will not change my mind, she replied. Tell my family that I chose this. Tell them that someone had to take responsibility for bringing the galaxy together, and I was honored to be chosen. The probe ship docked with the alien control node. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire Void Stalker formation stopped moving. Connection established, Soo-jin's voice came through the communication system, but it sounded different now, deeper, more resonant, as if she was speaking for more than just herself. I can feel them, she continued. All of them. Every species in the galaxy. Every world, every ship, every life. They are all connected now, through me. Are you still you? President Minho asked softly. I am still me, she replied, but I am also more than me. I am the voice of the galaxy now, and the galaxy is voting. Around the human fleet, the Void Stalkers began to change. Their aggressive formations dissolved. The massive creatures turned away from populated worlds and started moving back toward dark space. The test is complete, Soo-jin announced. The galaxy has proven it can unite in crisis. The Stalkers are returning to their waiting stations, but they will return if the unity fails. What does that mean for us? Admiral Hyun-soo asked. It means the old way of doing things is over, President Minho said, understanding what had happened. We cannot go back to 47 separate species competing with each other. We have to stay united. And I will help, Soo-jin added. I will be the permanent mediator, the voice that speaks for everyone. When disputes arise, I will help resolve them. When decisions must be made that affect everyone, I will help coordinate them. The battle was over, but the real work was just beginning. In the months that followed, the galaxy was rebuilt not as a collection of competing species, but as a true federation. Humans, with their experience in cooperation and innovation, became the natural leaders, but they led by service, not by conquest. The new Galactic Federation established its capital on Nexus Prime, but with a new structure. Each species contributed what they did best, and decisions were made through consensus rather than force. When conflicts arose, Ambassador Soo-jin, now known as the mediator, would help find solutions that worked for everyone. General Crewneck became the Federation's military coordinator, working with human strategists to design defenses that no enemy could overcome. Dr. Wu Jin returned from dark space to head the new Scientific Council, where human and alien researchers worked together on projects that benefited all species. Council Prime Vextar, humbled by the crisis, became the chief administrator of the new government. He often said that losing power had been the best thing that ever happened to him, and in the depths of space, the Void Stalkers waited in their ancient stations, ready to return if the galaxy ever forgot the lessons it had learned. The verdict had indeed reached the council chambers. Not guilty of being unable to cooperate, but sentenced to prove their unity every day for the rest of their existence. It was a sentence that the galaxy learned to embrace. After all, working together was better than dying apart. Years later, when young beings of all species learned about the Great Crisis, they were taught that humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy was not their technology or their courage,